Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This film is rated M for violence, sustained threat, and coarse language. Riding off the backs of similar horror films that deal with creepy dolls like Chucky and Annabelle, this film tries to take a technological approach to the scary doll story. So this is Kia's reviews and this is my review of Megan.
Oh my god, Katie, you have to flush the toilet. It is not that hard.
So we found someone else to pick up the slack.
Katie, flush the toilet. Wash your hands. Roll up your sleeves. Great job.
While Megan is a very predictable horror film, it is the pure definition of enticing. Once the film gets started, it goes at an unbelievably fast pace that the 100-minute runtime flies by without you even realizing it. What I loved so much about Megan was how the artificial intelligence doll was able to analyze and manipulate its users' emotions. In this film, the core theme of the story is grief and managing the many emotions that can come with that strong feeling, but what makes this so entertaining is by seeing how slowly Megan can manipulate this little girl's grief in order for it to become an aggravated style of devotion to the doll. Before going into the film, this felt like a technologically updated version of Annabelle, and while watching the movie it has very similar attributes, but in a way, this stands out a lot more than the Annabelle trilogy because this built up the characters so much better to the point where you unknowingly attach yourself to each of the lead characters. The first half builds up the character development, and while it develops Megan as this sweet, innocent, and kind doll, the direction shifts your views on her, leading you to detach any sense of apprehension with her presence.
Katie, you know that's not possible.
Then I'm not going.
Oh, come on, Katie. Hey, I'm sorry. Let's just talk about it. Hey.
Let me go.
Whoa. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Katie.
Go.
What are you doing? Stop it. Katie, calm down.
Let her go.
Megan, turn off.
Are you sure?
This familiarity of kindness, selflessness, and as if she were a real friend does make the second half's payoff a lot more twisted and entertaining. This isn't as creepy as I thought it was going to be, and it certainly wasn't a violent film at all with a very low amount of kills that were pushed to the final 20 minutes of the story, but what I liked the most was the build-up. Once Megan starts acting strangely and becomes too accustomed to protecting the young girl she is bonded with, her motivations are justified but are very exaggerated. It's interesting to see how a plot that is so over the top and ridiculous, how it becomes a movie that is very grounded in its craziness. By embracing that craziness, it makes everything within it seem normal. The only aspect that I didn't enjoy about the film was the final 20 minutes. Even though the kills were in very short supply, the ending and supposed big twist of the movie felt very abrupt and rushed. It didn't give horror fans anything to be excited about, and while I really appreciate the first 80 minutes, this easily could have been a 2-hour film that extended out the supposed horror in Megan and made the third act a bit longer rather than a quickened conclusion. I'm aware that the writer of the film has recently said that the theatrical release of Megan doesn't have all of the original script's murder and gore, hence the low kill count, and I couldn't agree more with her. From a horror genre standpoint, this had very little thrills, scares, and kills, and I believe that it's all because of the classification that Blumhouse was aiming for, and in Australia it's rated M. This means that it was obvious during most of the scenes in the second half that it was holding back a lot of the blood, violence, and gore that we saw glimpses of in the trailers, but unfortunately the trailers are bloodier than the actual movie. This doesn't take anything away from the theatrical cut of Megan, because the storytelling and pace is impeccable, but since there could be an unrated extended cut of the film that is apparently way gorier according to the movie's screenwriter, it would only heighten and defy the restrictions that were put into place for the theatrical cut simply because it isn't appealing to a larger and younger audience. Even though I enjoyed the theatrical version very much regardless of the lack of kills and gore, an unrated version will serve this movie incredibly well.
Fix it. So that's what I'm trying to do.
But don't come in here, Katie. It's kind of a mess.
Aunt Jem is right, Katie. I'm all odds and ends right now. I'd really rather you didn't see me like this. It sounds like you're fighting.
We're not fighting!
Gemma just dropped me on the table. But I'm okay.
Given that Megan has been greenlit to have a sequel, I had that thought in the back of my mind while watching the film, especially as this story came to its conclusion, as it left me wondering how are they going to set up a sequel, and in all honesty I still don't know how this will spark a sequel. If not for such a rushed ending, there is definitely potential in the material to create one, but with the ending that it has, it's not blindingly obvious where the story will continue to. Nevertheless, I had such a fun time watching this movie, and it's a great way to get into the concepts of horror, as it is a very mild watch and not as creepy or scary as the marketing material promotes it to be, but the way the storytelling, character development, and performances were put on display made Megan a very enticing and gripping watch. It certainly blew my expectations out of the water, as it felt like everything was entirely direct and didn't need any side plots or unnecessary filler content. Honestly, the first thought I had when leaving the cinema was that I wanted more of it, and while I do hope that an extended cut is in the works, the theatrical cut does enough to satisfy and make the experience exciting enough for audiences.
This is the part where you run.
Megan was a movie that I was expecting to be a typical M-rated young teen horror film, and that's exactly what it ended up being, but instead it captured its audience with its build-up. You invested yourself into believing the innocence behind Megan's character, so when she does become unruly and unrestricted, it feels less of a betrayal to the other characters, but more of a smart way of manipulation that has been happening in the background throughout the entire existence of her throughout the film. It does have its plot conveniences and a lot of predictability with a very rushed third act, but in the end it's surprisingly enticing and entertaining that leaves the audience wanting more, and if that extended cut does come out with more gore, more violence, and more horror, this could just be a very memorable horror film, so I'll give Megan an 8 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching. Are you going to see Megan? Let me know below. As always, be sure to have a look at my previous reviews of Emily and A Man Called Otto. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram for all of my latest movie reviews. This has been Kia's Reviews, signing off for now.
Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.